everyone, and welcome to this month's episode of the Nightmares to Miracles podcast. My name is Brittany New, and I'm here with Dr. Dave Asomaning. And on this show, we talk about miracle mindsets. So, Dave is an executive coach, and he helps people create a miracle mindset, which is different than a positive mindset or an abundance mindset. It's a mindset that's focused on honing in miracles. And so I'm going to steal Dave's definition of miracles for the moment to tell you guys that a miracle is not a magic trick or pixie dust. It is a problem. It is a solution to a problem that seems impossible to solve. So that's the definition. So it doesn't have to involve defying gravity or defying physics. It's just, I have no idea how I'm going to solve this problem, and then boom, a solution appears virtually out of thin air. So that's our definition of a miracle. And Dave has a miracle resume, we like to call it, of amazing, miraculous things that have happened in his life. I have a miracle resume of miraculous things that have happened in my life, and you likely watching this have your own miracle resume too, if you start to think of it that way. And we believe that thinking of it that way actually helps you not just feel gratitude for the amazing things that have happened, but it helps you actually attract more miracles into your life. So in this show, we're going to break down a lesson on miracles from A Course in Miracles, and everything is pertaining to a theme for this year, which is light. And all the lessons that we're covering this year involve divine light and the light that you use to get into the miracle mindset. So without further ado, I'll let Dave introduce himself and tell us more about his work. And then we've got like a few quick preliminaries. We'll try to make it quick and get into the lesson. But if you guys are used to watching this show and you've already heard the spiel before, then feel free to skip to a little bit further in the video and you can start hearing from when we start talking about A Course in Miracles. It's like anywhere from maybe 8 to 10 minutes in, but don't feel bad if you've already heard this a million times, because we really like to intentionally repeat certain things about the show and about what we do so that you guys, especially those of you who are new, understand where we're coming from and why we're here and how this can really help you. So Dave, why don't you introduce yourself, please?
Thank you, Brittany. Really good to see you again for this month's show. We're in August, and it's a lot of fun. And you have just transformed my thinking about all the preliminaries that I might have wanted us to do today. I think there's a wonderful way to skip ahead in just a moment, based on what you shared about Miracle Resume, right? So we'll give it a try. We'll experiment with it and see. Especially since in our planning we were discussing a little bit about ways to accelerate or decelerate things, but intentionally. So yeah, I live in Florida. Been an executive coach since about 2000, the year 2000. From 1992 to 2000, I was a psychotherapist first in training. Then I had a private practice at Lexington and 35th Avenue in New York City, which is about 7 blocks from Grand Central Station. Loved that office, loved doing psychotherapy. And then I had a mentor who was a top executive at the Phoenix Insurance Company in Hartford, Connecticut. She was actually my mentor for the ordination process in the Episcopal Church. I dropped out of that process really close to the end, but she and her husband were just wonderful mentors for me. And she was receiving executive coaching. And she shared that a lot with me while I was in priest development and training. And then she was also at the Phoenix working in their wealth management practice, which is really about their wealthiest clients and the brochures and the copy, marketing copy and things like that. So that was sort of one of my first introductions to executive coaching was through that mentor. And here we are now, many years later, and talking about the $1 trillion coach, right? Which is sort of my latest kick in terms of executive coaching. And so sometimes people claim me as their therapist. It's okay when it's informal, although there can be ethical and legal dimensions around what you call yourself and what you do. So therapy is heavily regulated. Coaching is not as much. So over time, I've really just enjoyed working with leaders in their businesses, in their teams, but also in their personal lives, helping them with relationship um, dynamics and wellness. And again, my issue is that I'm not uh, an expert in any of these different categories per se. I was trained in group and family therapy, couples therapy. But when I say wellness and all of that, I don't have heavy duty backgrounds in any of those. The thing that I really do own, though, is um, nightmares to miracles, taking situations that are messed up and just not good and bleak and horrifying and terrifying to people and supporting them to set up a situation in which, to your earlier points, Brittany, about our definition, they can tap into solutions to situations or problems that seem impossible to solve. So that's another excellent layup on your part. So, what I thought we could do to move the ball forward today and experiment a little bit with sometimes making longer um, shows that repeat the rituals that we've set up in terms of the categories and then sometimes make them shorter is to just jump to a part of our miracle resume together, which I call the Brittany miracles, right? So um, that we can talk about right away. I can skip like maybe 3 or 4 sections, go to that, and then get to the lesson. And then if there's any other things we want to patch in, we can do that. So, miracles with Brittany. So it's sort of the kind of thing that I like to study over and over again because every time we look at it, there are new sides to it, new things emerge. So I say it's almost like a scripturalizing of events between us, right? So we started out with worksheets. I discovered you and I was like, oh, maybe she can help me. I think I need to upgrade my brand a little bit. And you just returned amazing. I sent you very crude Word documents. You sent me amazingly beautiful, aesthetically pleasing enhancements to my brand. Then I had some basic recordings of my different course modules, and you took those and did intros and outros. I don't even think at the time I knew what those meant, intros and outros. Well, what are those? And I mean, I was learning a lot from you. So that beautified and structured the course process very nicely. All of that freed me up to then do some about a year's worth of work on those modules to convert all of that to the book. And then after the book was out, this was in 2021, summer of 2021, I began to feel like maybe I was ready. I had enough material and enough things going on that a podcast might make sense. And I was interested in checking out whether you were available and even interested, if you are available, to help me with the podcast. And you thought about it and came back and were amenable to it. And here we are, 5 years later on the podcast, and maybe two or so years before we started the podcast. So maybe a total of 7 years we've been on this journey together. Um, and then you do an excellent job of taking this raw recording from our Zoom video show, editing that, and then creating a written blog from it, which I enjoy reading. When I read those written blogs, I'm like, wow, this is so inspiring. Um, the reason I feel that way is because you change them around in a beautiful way that does justice to the subject matter, but isn't so overloaded with some of the chit chat I introduce, which in this medium, the chit chat, I like it. I think it's okay. It helps us to be creative. But what happens in that blog is just, I enjoy reading them and I get a whole nother boost. And then you do an audio podcast too. And somebody might say, well, why do you have all these different mediums? And some people like to read because you can just read real quickly. You can skim if you want. Some people like to listen to the audio and not be distracted by the video because they might be on a road trip or driving for a long time, and you could just listen. We've heard the term binge watch in reference to our shows. Oh, I just binge watched the whole year. Music to our ears. And then some people want to see the dynamics, how we interact, and all of that. So and then I have another person who helps to distribute all of this to, I think, 11 or so social media platforms now. So very exciting, great teamwork. It's very miraculous, right? You do stuff that you're good at. You do an excellent job at it. And together there's a synergy in what we do, which is it's just to me it never gets old. It's always very powerful. So, Brittany, anything you want to share with our audience about your work, where they can find you, things like that?
Yes, thank you so much, Dave, for that amazing testimonial on everything that I've done for you. It's nice to be appreciated and recognized, even though you do it every single show. It never stops feeling appreciated. So thank you so much for this opportunity to be on this show because as miraculous as it is for you to have someone who's kind of, I guess, multi capable like me on your team and in your corner, it's a privilege for me to work with someone like you who is very understanding, especially when I have anything come up last minute, which is rare, but it happens. And you're just one of the best people I've ever worked with by so much. So thank you very much for just being a cool guy. Like, you're just a cool guy. And anyone who works with you, I'm sure, if they're not like, sometimes you say that you have to be when you're coaching people, you're challenging them, but in any other setting, I'm sure you're like just a really cool buddy to have around and have on the team and have on the executive team, because people need a team of people that they can trust in working with them, and especially the kind of people that you work with. You are very loyal. You are great at keeping secrets. I have experience with that too with you. So it's just really great on a personal level and on a professional level working with you. And that's a miracle for me too.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. Thank you for
Mm-hmm.
that reciprocal testimonial and affirmation. I love it. I love it. I love everything you just said. It's how I see myself as somewhat funny, somewhat silly,
Yeah,
with a dash of seriousness about all these topics in there
absolutely.
too, and really a sincere dedication for all of us to be freed from our nightmares into miracles. That's really the bottom line. And for instance, it's if there's a nightmare that's evolving for you or for me or for both of us, I mean, it makes no sense then to pile on and make it worse. Like without just being joyful and peacemaking about it, and so we've had that between us on both sides, where it's like, oh, where am I? And you'll be reassuring and help us to settle down and get back on track, and vice versa. It's beautiful. It's a testimonial to even how the course started. It started out of conflict. Now we haven't had conflict. I'm happy to report, but Course in Miracles started out of conflict between two people, and the whole course was that Jesus's response to their specific conflict, if you will. Anyway, I digress. Back to you and where people can find you, and if you have any interest in sharing that information.
Yeah, thank you. I have a website that people can go to, which is my name, brittanynew.com. We link it below in the show notes. And I also have a YouTube channel, which is also my name, Brittany New. And on there, you can find some tutorials on how to do different things for branding and media creation yourself. And lately, there's a lot of AI content, AI video content. So I dabble with that as well. People are finding that really interesting. So, yeah, I've been thinking about doing some really fun types of AI videos. I'm going on a tiny tangent here. I said I wouldn't go on a tangent, but it's kind of related because I know that you like to watch hypnosis videos and subliminals. So I was thinking, like, wouldn't it be really cool to make custom subliminal videos with these new AI technologies nowadays? And you can prompt any kind of visual that you want. If you want to envision like a specific type of private jet interior, for example, you can say what color is the leather and what is on the background, and kind of making these custom visuals with AI. I'm dabbling with that. And also, my husband is teaching me things about how to create really cool AI videos. So I was thinking about that, but maybe I'll post something like that on my channel sometime.
I love that. I love that idea.
Mm.
Very cool. I look forward to hearing more about yeah, your efforts and your husband's efforts in that regard too. I think it's gonna that kind of thing is just gonna take off more and more.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you for an amazing journey and just making all of this possible and so rich and so great. So I do encourage everyone listening, if you even just want to explore with Brittany, whether you'd be a fit for her enhancing your brand in some way or another. Got a very interesting film background, which hopefully we'll be hearing more about. on our show as we go along and as is appropriate. But yeah, just a wonderful, wonderful miracle person to work with. I found from day one. All right, so we're going to get into um, the material, which usually comes from A Course in Miracles. It's not the only source or place for miracle thinking or miracle mindset, but I think it's one of the best, which is why we stay in it, because it's a very elaborate curriculum. It's got many different parts to it, many different nuances and lessons. Jesus is the purported teacher of A Course in Miracles. So if you know the biblical tradition and are familiar with it, then A Course in Miracles is intended as Jesus's part two, specifically about how he was uh, a miracle worker, which is one of the things that makes Jesus distinctive, right? And so it's if one is interested in his thinking about how he was doing what he was doing as a miracle worker and how he continues, great. But there's all kinds of movies that at some point we might talk about more and things like that. So as we said at the top, we are in the theme of light this year. We did vision last year. We've done things like forgiveness and atonement, and you recommended we do miracles one year, which was I thought was a great suggestion on your part. So with light, today's lesson is lesson 97, a favorite lesson for me. And I know for a lot of other people who do A Course in Miracles. And there are a couple of touch points here that I want to go over from the lesson itself. So I'll just sort of get going with those points. So the lesson has as its main headline, I am spirit. I am spirit. Lesson 97, I am spirit. And then you get into it, uh, and it starts to get more specific. For instance, in paragraph 3, it says, um, today we try to bring reality still closer to your mind. Each time you practice, awareness is brought a little nearer at least. Sometimes 1,000 years or more are saved, right? So this is an astounding return on investment that this paragraph is talking about. In other words, if we do the practice in this lesson and more broadly in the Course in Miracles, we are being promised that every time we practice, we are saving 1,000 years for ourselves and for the whole enterprise of the world coming to full awakening spiritually. So it means two things. It means that there's many thousands of years to the process of spiritual evolution and awakening. And this is a great catalyst to help us speed that process up. It says furthermore in that section, the minutes which you give are multiplied over and over, for the miracle makes use of time, but is not ruled by it. Um, in the next section, which I want to go straight to, and then I'll pause, see if you have any thoughts on your end, comments or questions, Brittany. It says in paragraph 4, you are the spirit in whose mind abides the miracle in which all time stands still. The miracle in which a minute spent in using these ideas becomes a time that has no limit and has no end. So just to pause here, it's like if you spend a minute, that minute can expand into this infinite uh, opportunity to improve things. It's just really kind of Star Trek, a very quantum physics in a way. Uh, so it says, give then these minutes willingly and count on God who promised to lay timelessness beside them. He will offer, or God will offer God's strength to every little effort that you make. Give God the minutes which He needs today to help you understand with God. You are spirit. You are the spirit that abides in God and that calls through God's voice to every living thing. Offers God's sight to everyone who asks, replaces error with the simple truth. Now, this is the kind of the we're getting close to the bottom line here. I'll just read through these and then we can discuss the rest of it. So it says, the Holy Spirit will be glad to take 5 minutes of each hour from your hands and carry them around this aching world where pain and misery appear to rule. God will not overlook one open mind that will accept the healing gifts they bring, and God will lay them everywhere God knows they will be welcome. And they will increase in healing power each time someone accepts them as their thoughts and uses them to heal. So, just a quick comment here, one more passage, and then I'm turning it over to you, Brittany, to see if anything stands out for you. So, basically, what's being said here is that time can be expanded so that it's not the chronological time we understand, but it's more eternal time. And then through a divine process of amplification, God will take our own connection to the inner light and pass the healing power of that around the world. So if we practice for 5 minutes at a time, every hour of the day, God can then take the healing signal we put out, send it around the world, amplify it, and have it be available to whoever is in need of that specific type of healing power. But it won't be the signal we sent out, it'll be an amplified signal, right? So this is what sort of the punchline is here. It says, thus will each gift to God be multiplied 1,000-fold and tens of thousands more. And when it is returned to you, it will surpass in might the little gift you gave, as much as does the radiance of the sun outshine the tiny gleam a firefly makes an uncertain moment and goes out. The steady brilliance of this light remains and leads you out of darkness, nor will you be able to forget the way again. So that's the kind of the where all of this comes together. It's like thousands and thousands of times the signal we put out will be multiplied, and then it'll go around healing, and then when it comes back to us, it'll be like the brilliance of the sun, when what we put out initially was like the flicker of a firefly. That's a return on investment that's unparalleled. And let me be quiet and see what you have to say, Britt.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It makes me think of some of the miracles that are written about in the Bible, like the feeding of 5,000 when they had only two fishes and five loaves of bread and they fed 5,000 people. It feels just like that. And I haven't really heard it. I believe it definitely to be true, but I haven't heard it directly applied to time. But one time I was in church and the pastor said it's often talked about how when you give money as a donation, it's going to be given back to you sevenfold or a hundredfold or a thousandfold. But he was saying the same can be said about giving your time. So when you actually dedicate your time in charity or in service or in prayer, then somehow the 10% that you give gives you more than what, especially in a world where we feel lack sometimes, when we feel limited with our time, with our money, then just like sowing that seed is always going to result miraculously in more, even though it doesn't make sense. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. It's such a powerful theme in the Course of Miracles, what you just touched on, right? Which is, I use the 10 oranges to try and illustrate this so I can maintain a handle on it. So, in the world system of scarcity and the ego and things, if I have 10 oranges and I give you five, that's a sacrifice, because now I'm left with five, you have five. It just feels like we're both, I mean, you've increased and I've decreased, right? And that's a certain kind of frequency or vibration or energy level, but that's how the world is run, right? It's a zero sum game. And everything in this lesson and throughout the whole course is saying exactly what you just amplified about tithing, for instance. That if we give something from this infinite level of abundance, um, we're actually drawing from an infinite well. And the more we give, the more we're connected to the well and the more we have. We actually don't deplete or diminish what we have. So, I mean, you know, to push the analogy further, then if I have 10 oranges and I give you five, I'll have another 50 oranges or another 100 oranges. I mean, I'll be connected to the source of oranges, and I'll have all the oranges that are needed for whatever. And I'll keep discovering, you know, and the way I discover that I have the oranges is because I have more and more oranges to give. It's like, how is that working? I just gave 100 oranges. I have 1,000 oranges now. I can give 1,000 oranges. Now I have 1,000,000 oranges. It's like the more we give, the more we have, which doesn't make sense. Like you said.
And I think there's something very special about being in that flow, in that pattern, because I've noticed that, I mean, you guys can test this yourselves, and everyone watching, that will be my call to action for this. Test it out yourself if you haven't lately. But if you are in a scarcity mindset and you're like, oh, I can't afford to give my time right now, I can't afford to give my money right now, you feel that you do feel your resources depleting. But when you're in that flow of abundance, you feel your resources expanding. It's just so clear. And you have to sometimes, it's hard to sometimes transition from the scarcity to the abundance, um, because everything in our worldly mind tells us that that's not wise. But spiritually, we have to remember that it is. But what's interesting about this passage is that it's almost translating time into light. So um, the Bible doesn't really say it that way, but here it's saying that spending that time to be mindful of that reality helps to bring that reality to other people also. So that's really powerful. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is, and again, not to be coy or salesmansy or any of the things that none of us like about this, but there's a tie-in to all of this in the cover of my book, Nightmares to Miracles. I don't like to just blurt it out. I like to see if people can find it. And so that's all I'll say about the cover of the book. You don't even have to, I don't think, buy the book to look at the cover. You can look at it on Amazon. Um, and you have show notes that link to the book. So that's all I'll say there. But to your point, and tying in the book, I'll just briefly, before we do your call to action for us, Brittany. So if in September 2021, September 20th, 2021, we did a show in which I asked if you would interview me about the book, and this was one of your questions. Um, you said here, and I quote: "So, what would you say that you are hoping to achieve on a greater scale, or in terms of your legacy with this book?" And legacy is in quotation marks, just so everybody knows. Um, so the answer I gave was, "Oh, thank you for that question, Brittany. Just like any author, I would like to reach a wide audience, as wide an audience as possible, excuse me, with the book. I hope to reach as many people as possible who would be open to this kind of information, and I will do everything in my power and with Spirit's help to reach that audience. In my mastermind group, in one of them, we used this excerpt from lesson 97 in A Course in Miracles, which is where we are today. This would be the last thing I'm going to share from the lesson. It says, Spirit of mine, a holy child of God, free of all limits, safe and healed and whole, free to forgive and free to save the world. End of the quotation. This is a saying that as a miracle worker or a leader even, increasingly you get more and where you get more and more confident that this work is helping your life to settle down, so that your primary concern and challenge can be to help others to achieve the same state of contentment, and so they too might be spreaders of the light in their own communities, creating a ripple effect or even a powerful wave, useful healing wave of light. That would be my greatest intention with the book, simply to help as many people as possible get to that state of true peace and leadership. So the foundational text for that, which I use almost every day in some way or shape or form, is the section of A Course in Miracles that I just read there, which is let me just find it so I can give you the specific reference. It's just a beautiful section. So it's lesson 97, paragraph 7, sentence 2. Spirit am I, a holy child of God, free of all limits, safe and healed and whole, free to forgive and free to save the world, right? So the way that this all comes together, before I hand you the mic, Brittany, for call to action and then closing us out, is if you're running a multinational organization, a law firm, medical practice, a dentistry practice, sort of some of what my clients do, and you've got 100 employees, and there's all the stuff that happens between people that has to be sorted out, and um, The idea that as the leader, you have a mindset that's tapped into this light and that you can share the light almost telepathically with your teams and your whole organization and even your client base, whether it's a local practice with 100 people, whether it's a major corporation with thousands and thousands of people and a budget of, tens of billions of dollars, clients that I've had and continue to have, then it's once you grasp this, it's like, oh, wait, I can send this awakening light at this astronomical level, and it can be doing things that no number of ongoing meetings could do. And it's just such a force multiplier around gigantic leadership. And people are like, well, tell me, practically, what does that mean? What will happen? I'm like, people will be happier. There'll be less conflict. There'll be more efficiency in solving problems because they'll be doing it miraculously. And just everything will work better across the board, for all the human beings involved. So I just see this as very personally meaningful spiritually, but also a huge, huge source of a great return on investment for practical leadership in organizations of all sizes. Okay, over to you, Brittany.
That is a perfect practical application of what this lesson is trying to say. That's exactly it. And also just going back to what you said about the intention behind your book, like it was literally as if, they wrote this lesson as a context for what you said. So that's incredible. Mm-hmm.
And you brought that up. I mean, the timing, we didn't plan that, but you brought it up. And I had planned to share this segment from the interview we planned.
It was perfect.
But it just all folded together. The way you said it was a great segue to the paragraph that I shared. And it's just a virtuous circle of I feel elevated by these principles and the relationship to the divine. And then I send that signal out. People pick it up. It gets multiplied and increased in power. It gets returned to me or to whoever's doing it. And it's a virtuous loop and it can keep going and keep going. It's like, wow, okay, that's a good deal economically, like a good Wall Street type of thing. So
Yeah, absolutely.
okay.
Yeah, that's great. So that really perfectly, sometimes I feel like when we have our lesson, we start with the theme of light, and then sometimes we stray away into all the different aspects of the lesson. But now it's like bringing it back to light. It's very clear that when you invest or when you could say invest or sacrifice or dedicate your time to seeing reality. We didn't really clarify that in this call either, but we like to say that reality is the parallel universe where there is no pain, there is no lack, everything is abundant, everything is healed and whole. That's the real reality, and everything else that we're seeing is an illusion. So we didn't really clarify that for those of you who are like, what is reality in this context? But yeah, so tapping into that reality translates, that dedication translates into light, and that light is the life force that creates miracles, essentially. Is that accurate?
Totally,
Okay.
totally accurate. And
Okay.
we're fond of saying, "Oh, the real world," by which most of us usually mean the physical world. And you just help to make an important pivot. And it's not just nitpicking on our parts. The real world is the source world that is devoid of any pain or suffering or nightmarish experiences. Anything that has nightmare or pain or suffering in it is not the real world. It's an
It's the
illusion.
movie.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
Nightmare. Yeah.
Yes, a bad dream. And we're waking up from the bad dream. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. All of these things can seem somewhat, oh, what are they talking about? Oh, it's minor distinction, but over time become really, really grateful that there's an ultimate reality in which there's no suffering of any kind.
And we like to reiterate this again because it helps us train our inner dialogue for how we perceive the world. So talking about this together, listening to it when we listen back to these episodes, even just for us, it helps us internalize this outlook on life, the more that you believe it, the more it shows itself to be true, is essentially how it works. So, yeah,
Just
we,
one more quick thing
yeah.
here,
Mm-hmm.
if I could, and then all over to you to take us however you want to the end. So this is also important. We're not victim shaming or victim blaming. I see in a lot of other social media settings where the way we're presenting this could be, well, if you're suffering, there's something wrong with you, or you're doing something bad, or you deserve judgment, or so victim shaming, victim blaming. That's not the reason for any of this, right? Um, the reason for the reason for this approach is that it's the way to get a breakthrough by just accepting metaphysically that we're living in a state of sleep in which there's scary things that happen and we can wake up from it, that state. That's the only reason for doing it. It's not to be judgy about any of the stuff. And then the other big question, which we won't get into necessarily today, is a lot of people on different socials will say, well, God, what's God sitting around doing? Like, why is God not doing more? I don't understand this God who is like, well, even if everything you say is true, I wouldn't want to be following this God because this God is slow, or just not real and not believable. But the sleep metaphor helps with that too, which is that, uh, God doesn't want to jostle us into being awakened into a reality where there is no suffering because that could be scary and upsetting. So God brings us gradually to it. But in the awakened state, God is God. It's perfect. It's all good. All the problems have faded away. You would have no issues with God whatsoever about anything. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, that's great, great clarification there. And we always want to be careful to say that because we know that people are dealing with and suffering with all kinds of nightmares out there, and we both have our shares as well. So, but yeah, we want to provide the hope for a breakthrough. That's all. That's the best we can do, right? Um, so bringing it back to or tying it up with a little call to action, we call it. Wherever you're feeling, first ask yourself, where are you feeling lack in your life? Where are you feeling scarcity in your life? And then make an intention to do the counterintuitive thing with that resource, whatever it may be. Give it away. Give the money, give the time, if you're feeling lack of love and affection, give that to someone else. Do the counterintuitive thing and practice sowing that seed with the intention of, I know that when I give this away, it's going to come back to me. We're not trying to be selfish here. We're trying to, ultimately, the more we give to receive, the more we can give. That's how it works. So it's always going to have a multiplying effect. Or as my dad always likes to say, it's selfish to stay broke because the richer you are, the more of a blessing you can be to other people. So that's just on a money example. But yeah, so find out where there's scarcity in your life. Everybody might have, unless you're walking in your perfect divine abundance, which would be amazing, great for you if you are. But wherever you're feeling that scarcity in your life, for me, it's with energy. I'm sometimes tired, and so trying to give that energy to someone else and give them a call and just really pump them up and make them feel the way that you wish somebody would make you feel when you're craving for energy. So there's an example for you. But thanks for watching, everyone. And thanks, Dave, for another great show.
Yeah, Brittany, good to see you. Good to engage in the dialogue. I love the additional perspectives you bring to this. Just really quite exciting, and you keep things moving along very nicely. So thank you. Thank you to our audience. If you have comments, questions, reactions, we'd love them either on the YouTube site, or you can text us or email us if you'd like to. So thank you, and I'll see you next month, Brittany. Looking forward to it already.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. See
All
you
right.
next month.
Bye.
Bye.